Scott Helfstein joins the show now, just rang the closing bell here at the New York Stock Exchange. He is the head of investment strategy at Global X ETFs. Huge fan of your basket of ETF products and the whole team at Global X. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us, JD.
Of course, first, what was it like for you and the team to ring the closing bell after such an incredible year for the general conversation and evolving narrative of ETFs?
We had a great time up there. It's been a great year for us. We crossed 75 billion. We're here to celebrate Shield, which is our defense tech fund, which is up over 70% this year. And it's one of the fastest thematic funds to go to above $4 billion in the course of less than 2 years.
So I'd imagine that you largely launch a fund, a product like that because of investor appetite. How important is it to take in real time the feedback you're seeing from investors who say, hey, maybe you don't right now offer that particular tranche of products, but we want to see something like that on the ETF market?
So it's a really interesting process, right? It starts sort of top down. Where do we think there are evergreen ideas? Extended growth for multiple years, but to your point, we work very closely with clients and we're constantly talking to people in the market about what those gaps are in their portfolio. And we pride ourselves on being innovative, being efficient to market, and really that's, I think, why clients continue to talk to us.
Yeah, you and I were talking before we came back live for the show. I was a little surprised to hear some of the best performing ETFs, overall themes and sectors that investors have been gravitating towards. What have the numbers so far here in 2025 told you?
So people are very interested in the AI ecosystem. To us, that is not just one or two companies. Our AI fund is a basket of 80 stocks. We also, though, think about, again, the ecosystem. Data centers have a dedicated fund there, robotics, cybersecurity to protect it. But then, of course, you've got the energy needs. How are you going to power this? So you have uranium, you have U.S. electrification, you have natural gas and infrastructure. And so there's a lot of different ways to play that. So certainly that's been a space that's gotten a lot of attention. Certainly defense technology, given what's going on in the world. And as you were saying a few minutes ago, the commodity space, whether it's copper miners, whether it's silver miners, have also been red hot this year.
2025 was the year, correct me if I'm wrong, that officially we have more ETFs than underlying publicly traded companies. How did that happen, and what does that tell you about appetite in these ETF products?
So the appetite is ravenous, and we crossed over 4,500. We're actually on our way pushing towards 5,000 ETF products so far out in the marketplace, and a lot of it is around innovation. There's a lot of Me Too products, and so that's why what really drives investor attention is people who are bringing out things that are either new or things that are cost effective. And that's what at Global X we're going to continue to try and do.
How about precious metal related ETF? What have you seen in terms of investor appetite for those particular type of products? And obviously, we kick off the broadcast every day, as we just did a few minutes ago. New all-time highs yet again today for gold and for silver.
Yeah, it really was in the beginning of the year, and I think into April, a bit of a sea change for investors when central banks around the world started reducing some of their dollar exposure and moving over to gold, and that triggered kind of a wave, if you will, of interest. If you look at gold inflation-adjusted prices, they are well beyond the 70-year range that they have generally been. Silver the same way. And so the question, I think, for investors is this a new sea change in how people want to allocate beyond just stocks and bonds, and opening up some asset classes that perhaps only a few used to play in.
Before I let you go, your outlook for 2026 for the broader space.
Yeah, so across the market, we're optimistic. A combination of strong earnings growth, plus we think the Fed is really still more dovish, so 2 to 3 cuts. That in and of itself could lift the market meaningfully, call it 10, 12, 15%. More broadly, though, we look below the headlines, I would say, than the indexes. So we're still interested in the AI ecosystem. We're still interested in plays tied to geopolitical challenges, like, for example, U.S. infrastructure. How do you hide from tariffs? U.S. domiciled companies selling to U.S., into the U.S. market,
sure,
not focused on tariffs. And then where can you get good value? And we still think things like data centers offer that. So we think 2026 is going to be a good year.
Scott Helfstein of Global X ETFs, thanks a lot for being here. Congratulations on a killer year.
Thanks, JD.